This is one of the most beautiful Nagaraja temples in India. It's dead now, but you can go there, It's in Karnataka, Lepakshi, right? It is the only one where Shesha Naga is over the linga, right? You can see it in other statues and all, but this is the giant one, There's the size of a garbage can, so you can see how big it is, right? It's huge. And the principle is what we've been meditating on just now, Ardha Narishwara, the female-male union, right, that occurs. And this is how it occurs. It occurs in you through a serpent moving through you, right, to bring it all together. So when you think about it, this dance of pulse we call spanda is the dance of the universe going on all the time, right? And we are just not participating in it all the time. If we were participating in it all the time, we would be in perfect union and complete balance in our heart center, completely balanced, no? We would be completely balanced. And this knowledge of the snake goes back to pre-agricultural times. This is Gobekli Tepe in 7,500 BC minimum, right? The serpent worship was there, massive serpent worship. And then this is Sumerian god Enki drinking serpent venom, right? In 2500 BC, And you can see that the person who is in that state of shamanic bliss is half human, half serpent. Here it's the lower part, sometimes it's the upper part, right? It depends on which one you're waking up. This is the kind of libation cup of Gudea in Sumeria, 2100 BC. Look at that. Kundalini Shakti meeting in the third eye. Yes? This is very ancient knowledge of trance states. This is Egypt, power worship in Egypt, 2000 BC. The worshipping of the cobra. Why were we worshipping the cobra? Why? This is the why. This is Europe, in Aylesbury, at least Stonehenge times, 1500 BC. An entire structure built on the journey through a serpent journey. You have to follow a serpent path to get through the awakening, and you drink a drink when you go in there, and you come out of it awakened. That's the whole principle. This is exactly the same as you see later in India at the same time, of the churning of the Milky Ocean, of the Samudra Manthan. It's the same principle. It's basically something churns inside you and opens a gurgling in you that opens your third eye and gives you this experience. Something is churning, right? Always. This is Quetzalcoatl in Mayan symbolism. Always the serpent eating itself or eating the darkness in you. And the pyramid, if you've never been, you must go to Mexico and see every year on March 21st and on September 21st, the serpent dances a shadow on the steps. So you see a serpent coiling itself and begins to dance here. And this is called Quetzalcoatl. You see it, they used to dance and beat drums to it and dance. It's a shamanic ritual of the serpent king coming or the serpent queen coming. And it was always considered to be the Milky Way, as above, so below, this serpent coming into us. In fact, it's not, we have lost it, but we have not lost it. This is from St. John in the New Testament, where it says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so even the Son of Man must be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. That means the only path to immortality is through the serpent taking you to the higher states of consciousness. This fundamental thesis of all the cultures we see. This is in Hermetic culture, the Ouroboros, the snake eating the dragon's tail, right? That means the dragon is the cosmic serpent and the snake is the inner serpent. And you have to eat yourself in order to awaken and become alive. Yeah? Powerful stuff. And this goes right into the Bible again with Jacob's ladder. 9 steps, 33 spinal cord, the whole thing. It's always climbing up. And what does Christianity do? Christianity comes and kills the dragon and suppresses it. So Michael, the angel, came to control the dragon, right? And what's the dragon? Kundalini inside you. Do not let it wake up. No, it's very bad, very bad. It's Lucifer, it's bad, right? Don't wake it up. Don't wake it up. It is the serpent of the Garden of Eden that teaches you things you don't want to know. You don't want to know this stuff, right? And this is from the Mundanum. This is pure Hermetic principle. Look at it. The golden linga egg at the bottom of your spine with the 3.5 coil serpent around it. Hey, jump, please. And the term that comes is called solve e coagula, which is that I must dissolve in order to conjoin, right? And, Alex has talked about it many times, which is that I have to enter the cosmic vagina, be eaten, die, and then be reborn. This is the principle we're talking about. Death, rebirth. And so in India, the cult of the Naga is a shamanic cult that seems to have come from Tibet and Mongolia and also from South India, and these are Naga tribes people who still perpetuate that idea in Nagaland in northeast India. But this is an ancient shamanic culture that's still alive today, right? And there are shamans you can meet who do it, who drink the snake serpent and serpent poison and do it. But the whole principle is this idea that can I die and be reborn, right? So what it seems to be, and if you haven't figured it out yet, all religions or religious experience or shamanic experience have their origins in psychedelic experience. Okay? First of all, this is the fundamental understanding we have. So whether it is Soma and Hoama in Iran and Persia and Soma in India, whether it is ayahuasca, whether it is any experience of the shaman, always had a companion medicine with it, right? Medicine. And that medicine would dissolve boundaries and take the shaman into another state of consciousness from which they could return and bring wisdom and healing to the world, to their tribe, right? Fundamental principle of shamanism. This gets converted into religion later, yes? That if I enter the womb, I go to the mother, I die, I come back, and I'm born again. Thank you, mother. It's a simple thesis, right, of this idea. But we in India and other parts of the world too, there was a serpent cult of drinking and being bitten by the poison of the snake. There was definitely one, and there still is one today in India. And this concept is the taking of the cobra, especially cobra poison, right? And actually either drinking it or having it bite you over and over again, right? So there are, so why would they do this to themselves? Because the likelihood of dying is very high, right? Because if you get the formula wrong, you're going to die. If you get bitten too strong, if you don't get an antidote, you're going to die, right? But if you do it in the right doses with the right experience, you come to the threshold of death and you come back. It's a very interesting experience. There are 4 chemicals. So this is science lesson 101. There are 4 chemicals in snake venom that release that experience for you. Terofibin is it opens blood flow to the brain and paralyzes your whole body. So you actually go into a kind of, I'm stuck. This is it. And you think you're going to die, but you don't die. Then enalaprilat is the one that, now I'm dying, but I'm not going to have anxiety. I increase my calm, I feel very sleepy, I start feeling bliss and euphoria. Then I can't even say it, eptifibatide slows down the heart rate and induces bliss states and hallucination. And then captopril reduces blood flow and you go into pure bliss tranquility, right? Now, the practitioners of it today are Jagi Vasudevan, who is known in South India to drink snake venom, right? And he plays with cobras all the time. And there are sadhus and Nag Babas who do this all over India today. So the major practices of this cult are in South India, in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, you see it still, and in North India in the mountains, right? Why? That's where the cobras live. The cobras live there. But in the middle of India, they live there, but the cobras in India have been persecuted first and now protected. So so in middle India, it's not easy to get snake venom, right? But if you go to South India, you can get it, and if you go to North India, you can get it, right? And you also have to have a shaman who can do it, right? It's no use going and then, I'm going to get bitten by a cobra now, thank you very much, goodbye, that's it, you're dead, right? The same is true of other serious hallucinogenic plants in India, like datura, right? So datura is used with a form of marijuana to smoke together that gives you Shiva Shakti experience, right? So you can, in India, if you're a real Nag Baba or a Aghori Baba, you're probably either taking datura or snake venom, one of the two, right? And then some are taking mercury also, which is a shamanic way of. So if you ever see a Baba with pure white beard and white hair, like really white, they're taking mercury. They're eating mercury, right? You can tell immediately that they're eating mercury. That's what they're doing. And what mercury does is gives you a sense of immortality, a kind of power. It's like a shamanic. You become very powerful, right? So just think about it. An entire civilization, the Indian one, had a large part of it built on this snake worship, right? The ritual of shaman taking snake venom, having experiences, and later on that gets changed into yoga and soma as the northern influences come deeper into India. But you see this remaining in the Shiva Shakti cults, in the Kundalini cults. And what they did was, when the yogas came, they integrated it. Buddha was the first to integrate it. He brought Kundalini yoga all together in a mysterious way, right? This was a really interesting amalgamation that occurred. In fact, if you read the scriptures of Vajrayana Buddhism in Tibet, they'll tell you that he brought the southern secrets of the snake, the western secrets of the soma, the eastern secrets of Shakti and Tantra and the goddess, and the northern shamanic traditions, and integrated them all together to form what became a kind of Buddhist secret practices, right? And the Vajrayana Buddhists will tell you, this is the 4 traditions he brought together, and so you can see he was a great alchemist as a result, right? And so when we look at it, today, most Indians don't even know it, like in major parts of India, Maharashtra, Kerala, other parts of India, every year, last Friday, they worship the snake, right? Women go in processions carrying the serpent image. They pay homage to the snake as Shiva Linga, and it's supposed to increase fertility. It's supposed to give you health and wellness, and you can even there is a Gayatri mantra to it. Om Sarparajaya Vidmahe Nagarajaya Dhimahi Tanno Ananta Prachodayat. Om Sarparajaya Vidmahe Nagarajaya Dhimahi Tanno Ananta Prachodayat. Om Sarparajaya Vidmahe Nagarajaya Dhimahi Tanno Ananta Prachodayat. Ananta means immortality, right? Endless life. And these are Vidmahe Sarparaja, that means you who are the serpent hooded king, come and give me enlightenment. You who are the Raja of all snakes, give me bliss and internal light. And Tanno Ananta Prachodayat, light my inner flame for immortality. So you are praying for immortality, health, wellness, all in this world, right? You're praying for that. And when you look at it, it goes on, and every year in this period they do a ritual which is done only by women. This is the head priestess of the Nagaraja cult in Kerala, and this is a Nagaraja temple in Kerala near Kochi, and she does this entire ritual to the snakes. It's quite amazing. Just think about it, right? Thousands of years We are in resonance with all the things that both terrify us and bless us with nature, right? In India in particular, people didn't have to travel too much. Once they came and settled down here, life was good, right? They didn't have to go like Africa or Egypt or Israel, traveling all the time to get water, to find land, to do arid. India was fertile. There was no need to do it. But on the other side of fertility came all these poisonous animals, snakes, ideas, that were terrifying, right? So you can see where the cult and fear and come from, and these experiments that occurred. Same thing happened in Central America and South America, right? Amazing, right? And these were what the Druidic cultures were like also in France, in England. Ancient knowledge of mushrooms, of snakes, of poisons. Datura was very big in Europe. You know that, right? Datura in Europe is called witch's brew, right? It is the brew that the witches used to drink, right? And that's why anybody gets ephedra or datura, they were immediately condemned as witches and were burnt in the Inquisitions, right? I mean, just think about it. You have a psychedelic state, you are now a witch, you die. Simple, right? Off you go. And there's some great Monty Python sketches, if you ever watch that film, on talk about that. So the thing about this is that, let me take you a little bit further, and then we'll talk about it. The myth goes that there's Kadru, which is Kundalini, the two twin serpents of Kundalini. There's Ananta, which is, or Shesha, the god hooded multiple 5 or 7-headed serpent that covers that that Vishnu lies on, or Buddha is covered by, or the Linga is covered by. There's Vasuki, the whispering snake that sits on the neck of Shiva, whispering yoga and wisdom to mankind. And there is, if all these are integrated, you get Nagaraja. You become the king of the snakes, right? So this is the fundamental thesis here, right? That basically the king, obviously it was a king in those ancient times, had to be a Nagaraja. Right? That means he had to integrate heaven and earth, his inner body powers, the serpents around him, the serpents inside him, and he also needed to relay this wisdom as a shaman to the people, right? So he was a kind of shaman king in a way, right? So a Nagaraja was always shown as a human being with a serpent's body, right? As a Nagaraja, and 5 or 7 hoods over him. So if you look later, Buddhism even takes that image and says the Buddha also had enlightenment. The Shiva Linga does the same thing, right? So the serpent, particularly all these forms of Kundalini, Nagas, have played a role in all of Indian wisdom from the beginning of time. All of them. Now, some teachers explain it as, they live on a Naga Loka astral plane, they come into this plane and they help us, and the cobras that are left here are kind of minor cousin of those beautiful beings coming, right, into the world, right? And that's not the real understanding, right? So I will take you into the esoteric meaning of this from a slightly more rational point of view, right? The first stage is that for ancient man, the Milky Way galaxy could be seen from Earth as if it was pouring into the Himalayas, right? And this was considered to be the ultimate serpent god that would come and give us wisdom and knowledge. So they lived in this Naga Loka. So if you imagine you're sitting in the Himalayas in 3000 BC, you're going to see the Milky Way look like it's pouring into Mount Kailash or something like that. It's pouring in, right? This is a very important symbolic image. So wisdom of the universe comes to us through a serpent, right? Number 1. Number 2, the wisdom of the universe then comes into the mountain and descends into us through the whispering into Shiva's ear from Mount Kailash, it comes down into us. Yeah. And this snake is called Vasuki, right? And Vasuki means the one who awakens. So there's a whispering snake that will come. And it's normally a cobra. So whenever you go to any Shiva temples in India, you're going to see a cobra, right? Either a live one or a statue. They're there because they are going to whisper the secret of Shiva's power to you. They're going to whisper in your ear. And they are considered the teacher of Patanjali in yoga. That's how the yoga came into being. Adi Yoga whispered. It wasn't Shiva that whispered. It was Vasuki that whispered yoga to mankind, right? The Vasuki serpent. That's the second stage, right? The third stage is that it's in my body as two serpents that are coiled up in the bottom of my spine and they come up my system, called Kundalini or Kadru. Kadru is the other name, right? Kadru Naga. Prana Kundalini, right? Prana Kundalini. So, this, and then there's another one that's activated, which is your sexuality, called Manasa Naga, the feminine Naga. And she is the queen of Padmavati, a mythical city in India, from which all this comes into being, right? She is the Manasa, and she is basically the one who takes your sexuality and integrates it with your mind. It's the serpent fully open inside you, and then bliss will occur, right? So these are the four metaphors we get, and if you can wake up those four, you become Nagaraja, the king with all the Naga powers, right? This is great. And one side is sexuality and Kundalini, and the other side is Vishnu and Sheshna, there, right there, lying in Vishnu. Yeah. And then later on, this becomes the metaphor for anybody who's enlightened or awakened, not just kings. But Buddha takes this form, right? Shiva takes this form. It's a kind of awakening. And we have it in us. Every single one of us, these Nagas live there, right? In us. And there are three places that this occurs, right? Three places. Muladhara, and all your sexuality, your food, your stomach, everything. Hridaya, Hrim, and Vadashanta, Shrim. Right? Or Hum and Sa. Hum, Sa. Hum, Sa. So every time you chant Hum and Sa, you are synchronizing your inner serpent with the cosmic serpent. And that dance is the dance of Shiva and Shakti, right? This is the true esoteric meaning of it. Now, if you add psychedelics to it, it depends on the psychedelic whether it will it will dissolve the boundary for that experience. So think about it. Every psychedelic dissolves boundaries in a different way, right? So if you take ayahuasca, and you will experience a psychological mother who will come and heal you. If you take DMT, you will experience a machine technology that will seem to rebuild everything for you. If you take LSD, you are going into sacred geometries and patterns that will open up doors for you. Right? If you take psilocybin, you are awakening all the intelligence in every cell of your being, and it comes to heal you, right? If you take marijuana, you are going into tranquility and calm and lowering your default mode network, and you are relaxing, so you become tranquil, right? So each one of those can be achieved by this yoga, Kundalini yoga, right? That's what they're saying. So somewhere between the snake poisoning shamans, we come to a yoga that gives us this power and knowledge, right? And that's what Kundalini is. Kundalini is that yoga, yeah? The way we see it is we call it that there are three types of Kundalini. Prana Kundalini, the hyperactive energy from my lower parts that seem to be dancing all the time and giving me all kinds of orgasmic experiences that come from sex. Second is bliss heart Kundalini or Chit, Lakshmi, Krishna, all these forms that come into your heart, right? And the third form is superconsciousness, Para Kundalini, beyond which is the void, and Shiva and Shakti, right? The void, right? And so you can actually go from the inner coil serpent to the vast overhead 5 serpents over your head if you want to. So if you experience third eye opening, it feels like a hooded serpent or a swan is opening above you, right? It feels like that. Kundalini Ma is a state of consciousness that then triggers energies in you to bring magic about. You are in charge of that, nobody else. You are in charge of that.